Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope all is well wherever you are. Guys, I've got some big news. I've got to talk about the Canelo Benavidez situation, and I've also got to talk about the Dillian Whyte situation. Smash the like button on this video. Let's get the video to as many likes as possible. Guys, let's talk about the Canelo Benavidez situation first before we dive into the Whyte Fury situation. David Benavidez's coach, which I believe is his father, has said that has told Canelo, stop ducking us, fight us. Nobody's interested in the Makabu fight. He has got a point in the sense that, a lot more people, a lot more fans would be interested in the in the Makabu fight. In the Benavidez fight over Makabu. But I've got to question David Benavidez. I've got to question, what David Benavidez has been doing over the last couple of years. His selection of opponents have been very poor. A lot of the guys that he fights are fighters that nobody heard of. Always fighting guys that are, washed up and past their best. And it's time for David Benavidez to really step up. David Benavidez is developing a name for himself. And he is definitely a name on a lot of boxing fans' mouth. The only problem is his competition has been fairly poor. I do believe David Benavidez is a very big 168. I personally think he should be at 175. I don't know why he's staying around at 168. Is it because I can understand why he's sticking around, because he thinks he's going to get the Canelo fight. I don't think Canelo's going to go back down to 168. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think you're going to see Canelo back down at 168. There's no point. He's become undisputed. What's he got to gain by defending his belts? Canelo's now going to go on to look to achieve bigger and better things. I know what Steven said, about staying in one weight division and dominating, but that's not Canelo. Canelo wants to go above and beyond, and Canelo wants to go in light heavyweight and probably make some noise there and do some damage there. So if Canelo has an ambition to go to light heavyweight to become undisputed there, then I have no problem with Canelo moving up to 175. I'm not interested in him sticking around at 168. What for? There's no one there. There's no what. David Benavidez beats him. Okay, then what? He's beat everybody else. Then what? There's no one there. So when Steven said, he should stick around at 168 and defend, who is there? Who's there at 168? Just Benavidez. That's it. One fight. And then what does he do after that? Do you see what I mean? So look, the 168-pound division is not very stacked with a lot of competition. And by the way, I think the Benavidez fight is quite comfortable for Canelo. I don't know why people make out like that's some really, really tough fight. Believe me, Canelo will make light work of that Benavidez fight. I can assure you, Canelo would make light work of that fight. I'm staggered to the amount of people that actually think Benavidez beats Canelo. They actually think he's so big. I don't see what you're looking at. Like with Beterbiev, I can understand, because Beterbiev's very skilled, very strong. He's got a great amateur pedigree as well, which shows that the guy is absolute class. But Benavidez, I'm sorry to say, the guy is a pressure fighter coming forward. He's got fast hands, not much power. Let's be honest, not much power. The guys are taking a lot of shots from him. Look at the guy that he fought last, Kyron Davis, was it? Look how much punishment he took. Didn't go down. You honestly think if Canelo was hitting somebody that consistently, that much, that they won't go down? Especially the level that this guy's fighting at as well. Look at the level David Benavidez is fighting at. He's not fighting other champions, is he? He's fighting guys that, we've hardly heard of. So the point I'm trying to make is that I don't understand the criticism from David Benavidez's camp when David Benavidez himself is not fighting stiff competition. David Benavidez is not fighting anybody, David Benavidez, like, look, I have a sympathize with David Benavidez because I think he wants to fight people. He wants to fight Charlo. He wants to fight. But here's the thing. David Benavidez could easily go up to light heavyweight and get fights there. Those guys are not getting fights as well. What's his name? Dmitry Bivol doesn't get a lot of fights. So why doesn't he go up to fight Dmitry Bivol or go up to fight Joe Smith? Because I personally think what David Benavidez is doing is trying to gain all the advantage he can, because he can make 168, even though I think he struggles to make it, hence why he's missed weight a lot of times. Some people say it's lack of discipline. I personally think it's lack of discipline and the fact that he's too big. So I personally think, like, I saw David Benavidez in his recent fight, when it was like a couple of days out. He looked really bad. Like, you could tell from his face, this is a guy that's that he's struggling massively, struggling to make that weight, struggling to make 168, big time. Go back and watch interviews of David Benavidez prior to the weigh-in, fighting Kyron Davis. Go watch. Like, the guy looked really bad. Like, he looked like he needed some food. That's the fact that he's struggling. He should really be at 175. And to be honest with you, I think Canelo will fight him anyway, because the fight's so big. Eventually, the fight's going to get to a point where it's going to be massive. I don't think David Benavidez is going to have a problem. But what David Benavidez needs to do is that there's nothing. Look, Canelo's got all the belts. He's probably going to vacate that. Unless David Benavidez wants to capture all the belts at 168, for me, David Benavidez should move up to 168. Look, there's the winner of what's his name, Johnson and Smith. That's not an easy fight for Benavidez, by the way, because Benavidez is so defensively poor, in my opinion, and he gets hit so easily that guys like at 175, both Smith or Johnson, right, hit Benavidez, he's in big trouble. Forget about Bivol and Beterbiev. But even guys like Smith and Johnson, in my opinion, will be dangerous for Benavidez. So for me, I actually think Benavidez needs to move up to 175. He needs to forget about 168 and start making noise there, because that's going to be Canelo's next destination. I think Canelo's probably going to fight at cruiserweight, and then Canelo's probably going to go down to 175. So he's not going to get that fight at 168 because there's no point. There's no point, because Canelo's got bigger fish to fry. He's trying to do greater things than go back and defend at 168. And I don't have a problem with that. If there's bigger things on the horizon, see, a lot of people may say, well, they prefer to see the Benavidez fight because Benavidez is a much better fight than Makabu. Okay, I've got no problem with that. But Canelo might have an ambition to win a cruiserweight title, right? If he wants to win a cruiserweight title, that's fine by me. I haven't got no problem with Canelo trying to go and win a cruiserweight world title. But if his ambition is then to come back to 175 and look to do some damage there, I have no problem with Canelo. No problem with Canelo going to fight at 171 cruiserweight, because then he's going to come straight back down to look to, become undisputed at 175. And Bob Arum recently just said that Canelo doesn't want to fight Beterbiev. He's going to go after the winner of Johnson and Smith. And then after that, he's interested in Beterbiev to unify the titles. Personally, I think Beterbiev should look for a Bivol fight and Canelo should fight the winner. If Canelo goes and fights Smith and Johnson, which is smart, by the way, because you should be going after the weaker champion first, acclimatize yourself to the division, then go after the tough fight. Hopefully Beterbiev and Bivol can fight in the meantime. I don't think they will. They're on different broadcaster. However, there is optimism there, because Bivol, I believe, is with Eddie Hearn and Beterbiev is with ESPN, Bob Arum. And we know that those guys do work together. So, there is a possibility that those fights could happen. I really want to see Canelo Beterbiev. That's the fight I want to see. I think that's the fight I'd want to see over any other fight. I'm not really that interested in Canelo Benavidez because I don't think it's that great a fight. I think Canelo will beat him quite comfortably. Some of you guys like to see it because you guys seem to think that Canelo and Benavidez is a very, very good fight. I'm not so convinced, to be honest with you. I'm not so convinced it is a great fight, but that's my opinion. That's just a personal opinion from what I've seen from Benavidez so far. I'm not that interested. You guys might be more interested in that fight. I want to see the Beterbiev fight. That's the fight I think we all want to see. That's the fight, is, in my opinion, the biggest fight in boxing. So yeah, how I view it. In terms of Canelo ducking Benavidez, please. He's not ducking Benavidez. I feel like any fighter that calls Canelo out says, oh, Canelo's ducking. Like, if Canelo fights... Look, for me, Makabu's a much tougher fight than Benavidez. He's a bigger guy. He's a bigger puncher. For me, he's be able to take a shot better. I don't believe Benavidez beats Makabu. I don't. I seriously don't. I would see that as a Makabu going into that fight as a favorite. I would. Now, the fact that people aren't interested in that fight, that's another matter. For me, like I said, in terms of competitiveness, I think the Makabu fight is a lot more dangerous because I don't give Benavidez much shot of beating Canelo. Just like people may not give Makabu a shot at beating Canelo. But I don't think it's any different. What's the difference? The size difference between Canelo and Makabu makes that interesting. There isn't a lot of size difference. Yeah, Benavidez is taller, but he's not bigger. He doesn't punch that hard. So he's not going to trouble Canelo in terms of like Benavidez punches so hard, so Canelo's could be in threat of being knocked out. That's not the case. The size difference with Canelo and Makabu makes that fight interesting because Makabu could land one and literally hurt Canelo, knock him out. I doubt it, but it could happen. Whereas that's less likely to happen with Benavidez. Look, the Benavidez fight, I'm telling you, it's not that... Like, for me, Andrade is a much tougher fight than Benavidez. I'll be brutally honest with you. I think Benavidez is perfectly made. Like, people think Beterbiev is perfectly made. And think about what Beterbiev hits harder than Benavidez. He's more skilled than Benavidez. He's a bigger guy than Benavidez in terms of body stature. He's physically stronger than Benavidez. I can assure you that. Benavidez wouldn't beat Beterbiev. He wouldn't. So I don't understand. Like, I feel like Benavidez is a bigger name than Makabu. That's why people are looking at that fight and thinking, wow, no, Benavidez is a name that we all know about. Makabu isn't a name that we know about. And generally, cruiserweights aren't. Marius Bradis is a way better fighter than Benavidez. But if Canelo fought Marius Bradis, right, that wouldn't be anywhere near as big a fight as Canelo fighting Benavidez. Does that mean that Bradis isn't a tougher fight than Benavidez? Of course he is. Way tougher. It's just that cruiserweights aren't known like that. Even Usyk, when he was fighting at cruiserweight, yeah, we all knew about his achievements and how great a fighter, but nobody really knew him. Nobody really knows him. Benavidez is known because his name is attached to Canelo. That's why. He's attaching his name to Canelo. That's why people know about Benavidez. So anyone that's in links with Canelo is gonna, their name's gonna be more well known. Even though Benavidez hasn't done that much, he hasn't done a lot yet, has he? He hasn't really fought anybody of any note. He hasn't been in a big fight, and when I mean a big fight, a fight where people think actually Benavidez could get beat here. No. There's a difference. People saying Canelo's not been in fights, but Canelo's fighting champions. There's a difference. Now, if Canelo is so much better than the champions, that's not his fault, is it? So again, I think Benavidez needs to probably step up his game. And listen, I sympathize. Benavidez probably is trying to step up his game. But maybe, he's being a bit avoided, possibly. But at the end of the day, we can only judge on what we've seen so far. And his level of competition hasn't been the greatest. So we hope that, we can up his game in terms of his level of competition. He can get the fights he wants. I think I doubt Canelo will fight him at 168. I think there's more of a chance at 175. But that's my opinion. Let's go on to the Dillian Whyte situation. We're very frustrating. Bob Arum gave an interview, and Bob Arum actually said, this is what Bob Arum had to say. Bob Arum said that, that Dillian Whyte and his team want $10 million to fight Tyson Fury. This is a very disappointing situation. This is a very, very irritating situation because Tyson Fury feels like there are always issues. Like, apart from the Wilder situation, Tyson Fury always there seems to be issues with him making... and same with Dillian Whyte, to be honest with you. I think it's a blame on both. I think Tyson Fury obviously needs to improve his resume. If you look at his whole career so far, he's got 2 names on there. And we spoke about this in the live stream as well. I think it's frustrating for fans. Very frustrating for fans that, Tyson Fury isn't fighting enough top competition. Yeah, he fought Wilder 3 times, and Wilder's a great fighter, no doubt, but it's one guy. He needs to fight Dillian Whyte, he needs to fight Usyk. And listen, I think Tyson Fury would fight those guys, but unfortunately, for whatever reason, the fights with him doesn't seem to get made. And with Dillian Whyte's been looking for a title shot for a very long time. He got offered a title shot against Anthony Joshua, and he didn't take that. He got offered good money for it, but he felt that, I don't even think it was the money. I think it was the rematch clause that he wasn't too happy with. And then he got offered, now he's been offered this. And now, according to Bob Arum, we don't know, we haven't heard Dillian Whyte's side yet, that they want $10 million, which sounds a bit ridiculous, really. What's Dillian Whyte's highest payday? Like, if what Frank Warren is saying is true, that they lodged a purse with the WBC of $300,000 for his last fight, which is, that's like, I'm shocked if that's true, because I thought Dillian Whyte would be earning in the millions, to be honest. So he fought Povetkin last. I'd like to think he would get paid way more than 300 grand to fight Povetkin. It was on pay-per-view as well. Was that a guarantee? And then he was going to get the upside of a pay-per-view? I don't know. Because that might be just a guarantee, 300 grand, but they knew they were going to make a lot more from pay-per-view. Because sometimes certain fighters might not take, a huge guarantee, but they know they're going to get a lot through, the pay-per-view. I don't know, but 300 grand just seems like a small purse. That's what Frank Warren said, for a guy that's on pay-per-view, and the guy that's doing pretty good numbers. Even if that is what he was guaranteed, it seems quite less. It doesn't seem like a lot for a guy, like I said, that of Dillian Whyte's stature at this point to be offered only 300 grand guarantee. You'd expect a lot more than that. But anyway, I think Dillian Whyte, if he is being offered 5 million, now I don't know, is that 5 million plus pay-per-view? Is that a 5 million guarantee then plus pay-per-view on top, which I think is a lot of money when you think about it for a guy that's never been a world champion. Yeah, I know Dillian Whyte brings a lot to the table in terms of he's also a name. I just think that they're probably going to wait out and wait out for the arbitration to basically, tell everybody what the split is going to be. I don't understand though. I don't understand, because he could be waiting around a long time. I just think that $5 million, if that is $5 million plus pay-per-view, I'm not sure, is that 5 million flat out fee, or is it 5 million plus pay-per-view? Because if it is 5 million plus pay-per-view, that seems like a lot of money. But then again, you got to understand from Dillian Whyte's situation. Look, Dillian Whyte's going into the fight against Tyson Fury as a heavy underdog. So you want to maximize your earning potentials, because Dillian Whyte might not get another fight of that magnitude. How do you know Dillian Whyte? I still think there'll be a lot of opportunities out there for Dillian Whyte to make good money, but he may want to maximize. This might be his biggest fight of his career, and he might want to maximize how much he can make from this fight. So listen, I understand from all. I look at it from all angles. You can understand, but Dillian Whyte, there's got to be a price put on becoming a world champion. Like, if you're getting offered $5 million, and like I said, I don't know whether it's plus pay-per-view, it's just a flat fee to fight for a heavyweight world title, and it's not just a heavyweight world title. Tyson Fury is the undisputed number one. Like, everybody looks at Tyson Fury as the number one guy. If Dillian Whyte is able to beat Tyson Fury like he tells us that he is going to, there is no reason why Dillian Whyte shouldn't be taking the fight with Tyson Fury. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. But again, it's a difficult one. It's a difficult one because Dillian Whyte has been looking for a shot for a world title, and how Dillian Whyte hasn't got a shot at a world title is staggering. But at the same time, he was offered a fight with AJ, and now he is being offered a fight with Tyson Fury. He's just not happy with the terms. So you have to look at it. If a guy's being offered 4 million quid or whatever he got offered to fight AJ, that's a lot of money. And he wasn't happy with the rematch clause. Or basically, if Whyte was to win against AJ, he wasn't happy with the rematch. But whatever, if Whyte was to win, he was going to get offered crazy money. He was going to get offered crazy money for the rematch. It would be, even at 50-50, for example, it would have been crazy money. Or 60-40, even if in Joshua's favor, it would have been crazy money, which I don't agree with. I think if Whyte had beaten AJ, I think Whyte wanted to give him the same split he was getting offered the first time. But it doesn't work like that because AJ is the bigger commodity. He's the bigger star. He's the bigger name. So it doesn't work like that, you know. Even if AJ was to lose, he's still the bigger star out of the two, you know. So, yeah, it's a very, very difficult situation. What do you guys make of it? Do you think this Dillian Whyte-Tyson Fury fight is going to happen or you're not? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, guys. Let me know what you think. And, guys, remember to please like, share, subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.